The letter you are about to hear is a work of fiction. All names, events, and circumstances are entirely imaginary and created for narrative and artistic purposes. This story does not depict or promote violence, crime, or punishment. It is a reflection on the human experience, memory, love, and the acceptance of death. My love, I am writing to you from a place where time no longer behaves the way it used to. Here, it does not rush forward. It does not pull me along with it. It simply sits beside me, patient and quiet, as if it already knows how this will end. I find myself matching its pace now, careful, unhurried, present. There is a strange honesty that comes when there is nothing left to plan, no future to arrange, no version of myself left to improve. What remains is memory, and the truth hidden inside it. This letter comes from that place. I have been thinking about us not as a story, but as a collection of ordinary moments, the kind that never announce their importance while they are happening. Shared mornings that began without conversation, evenings where we sat near each other, each holding our own thoughts, never needing to explain them. The quiet comfort of knowing where the other one was, even when we were not speaking. I did not understand at the time how rare that kind of knowing is. I thought it would always be there. I treated it as permanent. Now I see that permanence is something we only recognize once it has passed. There were parts of myself I never learned how to offer you fully, not because I did not love you, but because I did not yet know how to stay open without feeling exposed. I carried silence when I should have carried conversation. I chose distance when closeness asked more of me than I felt prepared to give. This is not a confession meant to wound you. It is simply an acknowledgement I owe the truth. I want you to know something clearly. You were never asking too much. Your steadiness was not pressure. Your patience was not invisible. If I sometimes seemed absent, it was not because you failed to reach me. It was because I had not yet learned how to stand still inside myself. This place has a way of removing noise, not all at once, but slowly. The distractions fall away first, then the excuses, then the stories we tell ourselves to feel justified. What remains is difficult at first, but eventually it becomes peaceful. That peace is where I finally learned to sit with who I was. I remember the way you noticed changes before anyone else did, how you paid attention to what people did not say, how you carried concern quietly without turning it into drama. You loved with a steadiness that did not demand recognition. That kind of love does not announce itself. It simply holds. I felt it more often than I ever said. If I could return anything to you, it would not be time. Time only repeats what we already know how to do. I would return understanding, the kind that listens without preparing a defense, the kind that stays present even when discomfort arrives. That is what I learned too late. But learning late is still learning. There is no anger left in me now, no resentment, no desire to explain myself into something better than I was. I am not trying to be remembered kindly. I am simply trying to be remembered honestly. And honesty tells me this: I loved you deeply, even when I did not love you well. People imagine this place as loud with fear, as filled with panic and regret, but that is not what it feels like now. Fear does not survive where there is no more argument with reality. What remains is acceptance, not resignation, acceptance. The calm understanding that the end does not erase what came before it. I do not want my ending to cast a shadow over the life you still have. This is not something for you to carry. It is not a weight meant for your shoulders. What we shared belongs to you without condition. You are allowed to remember it gently. You are allowed to move forward without guilt. There may be moments when memory arrives unexpectedly. A sound, a quiet evening, a familiar silence. When that happens, I hope it does not hurt. I hope it simply reminds you that love existed here, that it was real, that it mattered. I am not afraid of what comes next. That truth surprises even me. There was a time when fear filled every unanswered space, but fear depends on possibility, and there are no possibilities left to argue with. Only certainty, and certainty can be peaceful. If you ever wonder whether I felt complete at the end, the answer is yes. Not because my life was perfect, but because it was finished honestly. I am leaving without bitterness, without resistance, without unfinished words pressing against my chest. This letter is not meant to hold you here with me. It is meant to release you. Release you from wondering what more you could have done. Release you from questions that have no answers. Release you into a life that continues to open forward. Love does not end because a voice grows quiet. It simply stops asking to be heard. I will stop here, not because there is nothing left to say, but because there is nothing left that needs saying. I leave knowing this with absolute clarity. I was loved, and I loved in return. That is enough. It has always been enough. With love, without regret, your husband.